Good morning, beautiful souls, and this is our weekly catch up, and today I want to share with you on the topic of how love is eternal. And personally for me, and there is a lot of truth to this, that love is the most powerful force that flows through us, to us, from us, and for us on this planet. So I want to share a little bit of insight into how powerful you are, who you truly are, what you've come from, and how you can reset yourself often. So when I speak about your soul, I'm talking about the perfection of your soul, which is always expanding and creating even more perfection. Perfection's a funny word though, because it suggests that it's perfect and complete and you're not. And that's not true, because your soul is actually expanding because of you. So depending on what your belief system is, you do have a soul, a spirit, a connection to source, God, whatever you want to call it. Some people would disagree with that. That's perfectly fine. It's up to you what you want to believe. I'm just sharing what I know to be true for me, and throughout my life, what I've experienced. So your soul is constantly expanding, and it resides in a space of absolute unconditional love. And that's why when you feel good, you're in that alignment, you're in that flow. And when you don't feel good, you're going into negative emotion, you're away from your flow. The flow isn't as strong, and the more you move away from it, the more it's diminished. You're going into stronger negative emotion. So love is the true source of who you are. It's what you will return to when you transition, when you leave your body. And it's not something you actually need to do to experience that eternal love or that unconditional love. Excuse me. So what does that mean? That means that it's very hard to describe love. You can describe it in many ways. It's euphoric, it's pure, it's open, it's non-judgmental, it's wonderful in so many ways. So it's something more that you feel. It has no boundaries. Love is extremely powerful. And so you have to become aware of, instead of thinking about it, intellectualizing it, it's more about how do I feel, because that is what you are experiencing. You are experiencing the emotion of love. And it's this pure source that just makes you feel grand. It makes you feel relaxed, makes you feel centered, makes you feel sure, makes you feel calm. There's a lot that comes under the umbrella of love, a lot of positive emotions, but you can describe however what love means for you. So what I want to move on to is love is eternal. And what I mean by that is, if you have lost somebody who has transitioned, left this physical life and gone into the non-physical, it's about recognizing that, there's a time for grieving, there's a time for letting that process. But at some point, once you've done that, you want to allow back in the true personality of that person and have a relationship with them, because love never dies, it's eternal. So when they've returned to source, they're absolute in the way that they feel. They're feeling that unconditional love and connection, but they're not finished. None of us are. We're constantly expanding. And they're very much interested in our lives. And how do I know this? Because as my mother passed away so many years ago, I have a very wonderful relationship with her. And I feel her all the time. I feel her presence. I feel her humor. I feel her lighting things up for me, helping me, assisting me. So you also have this wonderful team of people, whoever's passed and is on that so-called other side, of assisting you and helping you. And it can come through when you get into that space of alignment where you can have that relationship with them. It will come through in so many ways. There'll be signs, there'll be messages, specifically just for you, and only you will know. And some of it can be, it's something you see, it's something you feel, it's something you know, it's an experience you have. So often it's not until someone passes away, for most people, that's when they start to question life and death and what is beyond. And for me, it's not even beyond so much. It's very much like this time-space reality we're experiencing is something of the nature of reality, but what is also happening in between the parts in the space is energy, and your loved ones have not gone very far, and you have access to them as much as they have access to you. And I know this for sure because I do this myself. So if you are wanting to connect with someone who has passed, you have to understand that in order to connect, you need to be in a receiving place for that. So if you're still grieving, and that's perfectly fine, it will be very hard for you to connect to them. You'll be connecting to the grief of them. That's not truly where they are, but the grief that you're feeling, and maybe even if they suffered, you'll be connecting to that personality. So the question is, how long do you want to stay there? Now, I did have a client who actually experienced this, and you know, we did quite a lot of work around it. But I guess what I want to say is it has to do with your relationship, how you think and feel about that individual. How do I want to remember them? How would they want me to feel about my life now? What would they want me to be doing? They would want the best for you. They would want you to be happy. They would want you to get on with your life. They would want you to connect to them, and they're connecting to you, because sometimes there's a very big difference between I can feel when I'm connecting with my mother, or she's already been connecting and I'm just picking up on it. So there's different things going on. So the eternal nature of who you are is love. Love is ongoing, never-ending, it's pure. And I can honestly share with you, even if you don't feel any of this is right or true or accurate for you, something that can be very helpful is to know that one day when it is your turn to transition, you will see the fullness of it. You will be reconnected with your loved ones. Because if you think you're just here having one life and you die and then there's nothing, what would be the point of that? And you can see this is prevalent in your experiences. So you may have had an experience of deja vu, which means already seen. Now, how do you think that's happening? That's not just coming without reason. Deja vu is you are hooking into what your soul has already seen, and now you've found a way to hook into it and you're getting information about it. So when you look at things like that, when you look at someone, you think of someone and then they call you, there's definitely a frequency going on. You're either picking up on their frequency, or and they're about to call you, or you're thinking about them and you happen to call them and they say they were just thinking about you. So there's a lot of proof there that is something beyond this physical realm. So I would say to you, in closing with this, if you are suffering still or grieving, picking the right time to gently move on. Now, some people don't like that because they think, I don't want to move on. I don't want to move on away from this, because if I move on, that means I'm letting go. No, actually, what you're letting go of is the grief. And when you let go of the grief in time, you make space for the love and the light to come in about that person. So you can think of them in the way that makes you happy. You can remember them in the way that they made you happy, and what would they be doing now, and how would they be interacting, if you even want to go to that degree and that level. Because at the end of the day, we are all going to leave these bodies, and we have to get comfortable with the idea of it is a part of our life. Death is, but you are not dying. Your body is dying. Your spirit, your soul, your source energy will never die, because love is eternal. So I hope this has been helpful for you. Think about your loved ones in a happy way. What would they be doing right now? Even to the degree of, my father loved this, or my sister loved that, or my son loved this. Go and do those things and celebrate it with them. The things that you did, they loved that. When you're doing it, you will feel, and this has happened to people, they continue to still go fishing, for example. And then what happens is they're like, I had an experience where there's something there. That person they went fishing with, something happened. And they could feel that person there. They're with you. They're experiencing life through you still. So play with it, have some fun with it, and think about it, you know, gently over time, the good times, how you want to feel about them, how much you do love them. And, you know, don't do it for long periods. Do it briefly and then go about your day. Because if you hang around there too long, then it starts to show up that they're not here. That's when you can go into the spiral again of, you know, getting depressed or upset about it. So, you know, little bits here and there. How would I like to remember them? How do I want to think about them? How do I want to celebrate them? If I go and eat this meal or go and do this thing, that's something that we did together. We loved that. Of course, you have to check in. For some people, that's still too painful. But it's time to look to the other side of looking at it like, I want to feel better about this. And it doesn't happen overnight. It happens gradually and in your own time, but it can happen for you as you reach for that. So big soul love from me, and bye for now.